What's up, everyone? Welcome to the L2R2 PlayStation podcast. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, Indie Game Dev, and my UK bro from another mum, Cal Monroe. Cal, how are you?
Trying to keep warm, rather than that good. Just a bit. I'm just sort of sat on my hands at the moment, trying to warm them up.
There you go. Just rotate on your hands.
Yeah,
You're good.
yeah.
Uh, Callum, explain Boxing Day to me. I know you celebrated Boxing Day. What is it over there? I know it probably has nothing to do with what I think of you guys, like actually boxing your family or something.
Do
Take
you
me
not
down
have
there.
Boxing Day? Do you not have Boxing Day in the States?
I'm sure maybe people celebrate it here. It's on a calendar, but I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
it's weird. It's kind of like just like a second day of doing nothing, kind of like a Christmas Day extension, where you eat all your leftovers and you have like gammon for breakfast and lots of. I had cake for this morning, so even like go sort of stretches over just the remainder of December. But just a nice way to eat nice food and get together and sort of celebrating the only way you sort of can at the moment. But no, it's really nice because I mean Christmas is different at the moment. We didn't have any family visit or anything. We
Yeah.
normally have like lots like everyone comes down to us, but we didn't do it this year, so it felt very different. But it's only Christmas at the end of the day. It's just I just like having the time off work and an excuse to put my feet up and play games without any guilty conscience.
Do you what were the origins? I guess it's something I could look up, but I wonder why the name Boxing Day, like what it you know or originates from.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think because it has a name, we just use it as an excuse to just
Yeah,
laze around more and eat more food and throw away any diet books. That it's kind of like just one of those days. Those people who sort of say like, "Oh, I'll be on a diet every day except Christmas." Boxing Day is just like easy to say, like easy to add on to it. So you just use
right.
it as an extension.
Do you do that? Reminds me. Are you the type of person that sets like New Year's resolutions or anything like that?
Um, I don't know. I think I'm always trying to set myself resolutions like, right, starting like on Monday, I'm going to do this. I'm going to or like, I don't think New Year's any different. I think it's a reason to do that as well, but, I'm always trying to do that, but I'm not that I ever do them, but I'm very much sort of a believer in the whole, I'll start that, next week or, starting from now, I'm going to be or do this or whatever. So yeah, I suppose I am like that all the time.
Yeah, same here. Especially with like my diet, it's always just a battle where it's like, okay,
Yeah,
starting Monday, I'm going to take it seriously,
yeah,
and I fell off the wagon like hard. Oh boy!
yeah,
But at some point, yeah, I'm going to try and get back on it. But
yeah,
it's just like now's the time where especially when it's cold, it's like I just want to eat
yeah,
horrible things and stay at home, and I'm
yeah.
not moving at all. So we'll
No,
see what happens with that. But at least, yeah,
yeah.
we got to. Man, my throat might be giving out during this, but at least we've been playing some games. What have you been playing this week?
Yes. I mean, mostly Assassin's Creed Valhalla still just chipping away at that. It's very long, a lot to do, and I'm still sort of. I think I'm at 80 hours in. And I'm still not sort of at the end. It's a
Yeah.
big game. But I've also been playing a lot of FIFA 21 actually, which has been a bit
Oh,
of a guilty pleasure over these holidays. So I didn't realize that there was a next gen version of it, and that came out the other day, and it was on sale, so I picked it up, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really a great game. It looks great on the PS5, plays really nicely, and the sort of quicker loading helps with it as well, sort of just from game to game. But yeah, that's taken up a lot of my time as well. But I also started Kentucky Route Zero, which is a sort of small narrative sort of base game, which I've been meaning to play for a while, and I heard about it on a podcast I listened to, and it's meant to be really great. And yeah, I did the first act of that, and that's got its hooks in me as well. It seems like a good game.
yeah. With the Kentucky Route Zero, I know I think I played a little bit of the first episode. I want to say years ago because I know it came out a while ago, or at least like in chunks.
Mm.
And it seemed really cool, but I never stuck with it. And that's one that I always keep hearing really good things about it, and I need to jump in. But yeah, it seems like a really cool story. I don't know if there's anything like supernatural going on, but I love the art style too. It looks really
Mm.
cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's very eerie and very um like trippy and sort of outer worldly, but I think it's really cool, and I like it. It sort of has a really unique sort of like storytelling, sort of how the choices you make between multiple characters and how you sort of kind of craft their backstories yourself. It sort of gives you
Mm.
lots of different choices, and um, yeah, I think it's sort of just really quite original and in your face about how original it is. And yeah, I'm excited to play the rest. Yeah, I think I finished the first sort of part. So I think I'm sort of about to start the second part. But yeah, it seems great from what I've played so far.
And then you mentioned FIFA. All I know about the newer one is I've seen gifs of the hair physics. It's nuts. I'm
Yeah,
watching have a video up now of it, and it's just crazy, man. Like it's pretty
yeah.
realistic. Maybe I think this is for sure the most realistic hair physics I've seen in a game. I wonder if you
Yeah.
can take this tech, and just remove it and add it to other games. But man, that would be
Mm.
insanely dope to have this in everything.
Well, yeah, it's a really good sign as well because it looks significantly better, and I'm sure it's probably still Frostbite engine, but it's a really good sign for that engine because this is the first time we've seen it on next gen, and we got games like Dragon Age, which is likely to be made on Frostbite, like Inquisition was, and all these other games like Battlefield and Jedi Fallen, or was Jedi Fallen Order Unreal maybe, but still, these EA games that will be coming out next gen. And it's good to see these great physics, and I think FIFA's a good example of what's to come.
Yeah, that's one. It's a genre. It's a whole genre that people kind of sleep on with advancing the tech because I know there's a
Mm,
lot of attention on the newer NBA 2K. I want to say it was that one that the next gen version. Just the quality of the models was super high resolution, and they didn't get enough credit for it because everyone's talking
mm,
about say like Demon Souls or other games like that. But these games always do push the tech, and I do admire that. It seems like it's easy to bash against them because they kind of carry over like the same roster or like really just update the roster and that's it every year. But they also are pushing or like the sweat technology was big in one of the NBA 2Ks.
mm.
Like they added the realistic sweat. Like they're always pushing the next generation. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, 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 and I think with games like sort of FIFA and NBA, I think these kinds of advancements help the game play itself as well. I think this is the first FIFA I've played in quite a few years because I normally play Pro Evo, um, but this FIFA does seem like a lot more robust and a lot fairer feeling, and it works really well with the DualSense as well. The DualSense has a lot of feedback with the PS5 version, and it just does make it a really great experience. And I love football, and I do like football games. They're my biggest guilty pleasure. I like the Football Manager games as well. Um, and yeah, it's nice to play, next gen because it's always exciting to play these kinds of games. Their first iterations on next gen. I remember the PS4 first iteration of maybe FIFA 14, and it was then really great and exciting as well.
Yeah, I wish these sports games would offer a like a realistic thing with the audience where they just remove them and just like
Mm,
to make it. I don't know because it's strange to see people in the crowd because it's just not
mm.
something we have now. But it'd be cool to just and maybe it would help
Yeah,
the game run a little better
yeah,
if you just remove all those NPCs in the
yeah.
background and just
Well,
have a 2020
that's
mode.
a good part about the new FIFA as well. I mean, the crowds are. I know it's strange at the moment because there are no crowds, but when you score a goal in the new FIFA, the crowds are very well animated. Like in certain stadiums, they'll all sort of run down the steps, and it really sort of adds that whole sort of like atmosphere. And but yeah, it also has the Volta mode, which is the sort of weird story mode, which is like street football. It's like I don't know if you ever played FIFA Street on PS2, but
No.
it's basically that. It's like 4v4 street football, and you have to shoot in like these tiny little goals. And that seems quite interesting. That's got like a story to it and characters and like cutscenes and things. And I played a little bit of that as well. And I don't know whether I'll carry on with it, but it's cool that it's there and there's just quite a lot of content in it.
Nice, nice. So you've been playing that, enjoying your Boxing Day, whatever the hell it's
Yeah.
called, and so yeah, I wanted to get into. There isn't a lot of PlayStation news, but I wanted to get into just the whole year in general because we
Mm.
made it. We're close to ending the shitty year, although it seems like
Yeah.
2021 isn't going to be much different. But there is a silver lining at least. Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about what happened this year. Um, you know what? I guess I could go before we go to that. I did finally finish Cyberpunk
Oh
yesterday.
yeah, I wanted to know about that actually. Yeah, how was it?
Yeah. So I'm about, I think I ended up around 83 hours total.
Hmm.
And I pretty much did everything. There's a little bit of side mission stuff you can do that's like non sequential side quests that you could do that aren't, that having nothing to do with like the story or whatever. But yeah, I think I really, really dug my time with Cyberpunk. I've had a lot of fun. It's very buggy. Like that's a given. Even on PC, it's very
Mm.
buggy. But I guess you get used to like I'm saving constantly and having to reload saves to like fix something. Say like a text box that's just stuck on screen or someone that doesn't show
Yeah,
up
yeah,
that's supposed to give you a
yeah,
mission.
yeah,
Doing that a lot, but overall, I really dug the gameplay. The shooting
yeah. Mm.
mechanics are really fun. The driving is actually it opened up and became more fun. You kind of have to get used to the oh man, my voice is going out. You have to get used to the physics in the driving, but
Yeah.
once you realize they want you to play it almost like it's kind of like the Warthog in Halo, where it's like the butt just kind of
Oh
they
yeah,
want you to like
yeah.
drift everywhere. Once you get used to that, then you kind of master the driving. But
Hmm.
it's interesting because there's a lot of games that do all the different aspects of Cyberpunk better. Say like the dialogue trees, there isn't a lot of options there. I say like a Fallout or a Skyrim does it
Mm.
better than that.
Yeah,
So you have that. You have the open world aspect that GTA might actually do better with the NPCs that feel alive, more interesting. I think
yeah,
GTA does that better. Maybe even with the driving, the shooting has
yeah.
been done better too. Like even Rage, the sequel to Rage that came out, I want to say last year, year before that, that might have more. It might have a funner experience playing that with their shooting mechanics. But when you put it all together, it still makes it for a really fun game. It's just like it's
Mm.
kind of a bummer because they didn't really push any of those different mechanics
Yeah,
past what's
yeah,
already been done. But the
yeah,
world feels really cool. I got pretty addicted to the story. Like I actually cared about the characters and what's going on.
yeah.
It's really awesome, and it's cool to see because it's a developer that hasn't done this kind of thing before. So I think that's what gives them a bit more credit in my mind, where they
Mm.
haven't done open world to this degree. They haven't done shooting mechanics or driving mechanics, and so the fact that they did all this and pretty much nailed it. They didn't surpass any of the other like open world genres that have done this stuff before, but it's a pretty good like first entry into this whole open world
Mm.
thing. So for at least for first person and for like driving and shooting and all that. But yeah, I really dug it. I don't know if it's like game of the year material, but it's definitely
Yeah.
it's easy to sink hours and hours to this game. Overall, really dug it. There, besides the obvious negatives like the bugs and stuff, the story gets kind of weird sometimes, but not a whole lot of negatives. Like it's really easy to just play this for hours and hours. So yeah, I mean, I dug it. It's just I hope they fix it soon on console.
Yeah.
I know I read last week that they mentioned overall, even with the refund subtracted, they made like $13 million, or they sold 13 million copies,
Mm.
and that was like for what the first 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So it's
Yeah.
hugely successful. I don't know where they go from here. Work on the DLC, work on getting the current gen version working or last gen version working. But yeah, no, it's awesome, and I highly recommend it. Maybe on PC right now, but
Yeah.
although it seems to
Yeah.
be working on Xbox Series X, it seems like as far as console versions, that's the version to go with. But other than
Hmm.
that, it's like just avoid it everywhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a friend who's playing it on PS5. He got it like the disc version for PS4. And he said he really hasn't had that many problems and he's really
Mm,
enjoying it. And I think that that can be the case with some people on next gen, and I know PC is meant to be okay as well. And it's had a few patches now, so I'm sure it's probably tightening up too. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a game on my radar. I think once I finish up Dragon Age on my PC, I'll probably get Cyberpunk next. But I think I was always going to get it on PC anyway, just because it's a first person RPG. They're normally just easier to sort of navigate with a keyboard and mouse. So yeah, I am looking forward to playing that. But I've also got a lot of games that I need to get through on the PS5 now because that's all new and shiny. So
right.
that normally takes priority at the moment.
Yeah, I hear you. I really hate keyboard and mouse, man. I just
Do
I
you?
cannot get over it. It's the whole I think it's the way that the keys are laid out. It's like you have to cramp your
Mhm.
hand, and the controller just beats it
Yeah.
out for me. Unless I'm sure there's really wonky controllers out there that try and merge the keyboard and mouse experience. I know Steam did that one controller that had like these touch panels instead of the joysticks.
Mm.
and they just kind of stopped selling that. So I must have not been very popular. But
You can get the sort of Razer game pads, which are like a sort of small keyboards that are like just for one hand, and then you map all the
oh,
buttons on it to what you like. And I know a lot of people, I know a lot of my friends who don't like the keyboard aspect. You know, the mouse is fine, but the keyboard, you know,
right.
the whole cramping and everything, they use those. And yeah, they really like them. So it might be worth looking into them because you can get some pretty nice ones as well. Some nice sort of mechanical ones.
I'm gonna have to check that out because yeah, the mouse is that is the goal. Like that's you can't beat
Mm.
the just the precision you get with the mouse and
Yeah,
that freedom to move around. But it's the keyboard that I think brings it
yeah,
down. I think keyboard and mouse players just deal with the fact that the keyboard sucks, but they deal with it to get
yeah,
that mouse in there. But if I can
yeah,
have a
definitely,
controller
yeah.
in one hand and a mouse in the other, like I'd try something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
hate
and,
it.
and some of them come with analog sticks on them as well, just for your thumb, so you can sort of
Uh.
move with an analog on the left and then use your mouse on your right as well. Yeah, there are some good ones to remedy that.
It's just that extra. Wow, I'm gonna die. I think during while I'm talking to you. It's just my throat and it knows that I'm talking that I have to talk to someone, so it's gonna shit the bed. But
Well, we were saying it sounded like I had COVID earlier. Maybe I've transmitted it to you sort of
a digital version.
through the microphone. Yeah,
Well, you guys
digital
have
edition of COVID.
that reminds me. You guys have like the next iteration of it. It's like evolving over in the UK first.
Yeah,
Like the so that's
yeah,
cool. Thanks for that.
yeah. It's like proper 28 days later over here.
Right. Yeah, it sucks when my wife's been following it pretty closely, and like when she tells me, it's like, oh yeah, there's a new
Yeah.
advanced version, and apparently it's like affecting children more. It's like, oh great. It's like, oh, so we're never getting through with this. Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. So I mean, the vaccines here, and there's talk of it being privatized. Sort of. Well, I mean, obviously it'll be going out to the general public, but there's talk of some of them being able to be sold like privately. So
Mm,
we'll have to see how much that costs because that'd be a pretty nice little present to myself, a little COVID vaccine.
yeah, for sure. I'll get two of them if I
But
can.
yeah, but I'm scared it'll probably be like yeah, 2 grand or something, and that's but I'll wait. I'll wait.
You have to sell that PS5 just to get that
Yeah,
vaccine.
yeah,
But yeah, Kalma, we can end at least the cyberpunk talk there. Dope
sure.
game. They just got to fix the. It's. I guess like an alternate reality, it'd be really cool to see the route they took if they held on to this game for another 4 months, maybe 5 months,
Mhm.
and just really polished it. I think this game could have looked and played even better. I feel like
Yeah,
there's aspects you can tell that they just didn't have the time to finish even in the PC version. So this game
yeah,
could have been just really, really dope if they just kept it baking, but we didn't get
yeah.
that. So,
No.
but yeah, we'll try not to cough so much. But we have this PlayStation year in review. We can kind of take. So I have all the a lot of the big game releases and just like updates on stuff that happened throughout the year laid out
Mhm.
in a timeline. Of course, PS5 was huge, and that kind of took over a lot of the not a lot of the news because we didn't get a lot of PS5 news, but when it
No, but
happened,
a
it
lot of
was
the
big.
speculation. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing. This year was a lot of if we fast forward or rewind rather back to early 2020, you had the Xbox One X already revealed at that Game Awards.
Yeah.
And so we were still yet to get the actual, look at the console and any information, but it slowly trickled out throughout the year. So let's go back. We got February. Some of the big games that released, we have Dreams finally released, announced back in 2013. The long awaited creation from Media Molecule seems so ambitious that it may never be released, but we got it. I think we both got to try it, but I don't think we really stuck with it at all. What was your
Mm.
overall opinions on the little bit you spent with Dreams?
Yeah, I played the single player like component of it,
Right.
the art stream or something, which I really really enjoyed. It was very Little Big Planet esque, and it was really really good. And I didn't really mess around too much with the like I suppose the main portion of Dreams, which was being able to create your own things. But you know, I know it has its community still, and I know that people like it, and there's some pretty crazy things created on it. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was uh, much more successful than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's true. And what's nuts is like people are still making incredible experiences or really pushing that that software, that engine
Mm.
where it's you're getting like photorealistic stuff, and it's not. That's always the takeaway or the balance is you can get super photorealistic kind of walkthroughs, but it seems like they can't add the gameplay to it. It's like it's at its max when it does that. But I guess maybe on PS5 that unlocks a different access to the hardware, so maybe you can just
Mm.
do more stuff with the PS5 hardware. But I don't think they've announced an official like PS5 version of it. Seems like it's that same
No.
PS4 version carrying over. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. They basically made a game creation tool, and
Mm.
I'm hopeful that they can. Uh, we've talked about before. Like, I wonder the route you can take if you can make a game there and publish it on through PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I think there's
Yeah.
a whole big future there. It's just figuring that out is the next problem.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
But that was a big deal. We finally got Dreams after just years and years of wondering, what is this game? When is it going to come out? The next one here, Horizon Zero Dawn. We got a PC version. So notable due to Sony's past refusal to allow first-party games beyond the platform. 2020 also marked the 2019 console exclusive Death Stranding's arrival to PC. So this one, I thought it was interesting to include or notable because we're getting PC versions of PlayStation games, and it was a big
Mm.
deal because they typically did not do that. So it was really this year marked them, venturing out and allowing it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really strange but exciting to go on Steam and see Guerrilla Games and Kojima Productions on there. It's nice to see them branching out and getting a larger audience, especially Guerrilla, who have made Killzone for pretty much their whole sort of existence for PlayStation only. So it's exciting to see these otherwise Sony exclusive studios branching out.
Do you foresee them doing this more, or is this kind of a flash in the pan kind of thing? Is it related to that Gorilla engine, or do you think we see more PlayStation games going to PC in the future?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think they'll have their obvious games to keep there. They have to, at the end of the day, PlayStation want people to be playing on their console. So, and so, I mean, they'll never do anything to sort of give too much. But yeah, I think we said at the time with both of them that they were good choices to port over. And I think that with the just myriad of studios Sony have access to and the projects that are being made sort of over there, I'm sure that there will be more that fit in that PC space too.
Yeah, I wonder if because you're right, the thing that limits them first is with going to PC is they want people to keep playing games on PlayStation, so they're going to keep their really juggernaut exclusives there, like say Last of Us, God of War. But at the same
Mm.
time, if you do allow them to venture to PC, you just gain more fans that way. So what if we
Mm.
see a reality where God of War, what 2018, I want to say 2018, if that game does eventually go to PC, it's still, what, 3 years after it released, you gain fans on PC. So the next one that comes out, it's still exclusive to PlayStation for however many years.
Mhm.
You get those
Yeah.
people that loved it on PC and now will go and get a PS5 to play it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even those really special exclusives, it would help them in the long run if they eventually do go to PC
Mhm.
because you're just, expanding that fan base and they just have to
Yeah.
wait. They don't get it day one like a
Yeah.
PlayStation console player does. But
Yeah.
I think that would help them overall. I just don't know if
Mm.
I think they're still afraid of doing that.
Yeah, I think the problem is the PC community will come to expect them, and I don't think
Mm.
Sony want that. I don't think they want them to assume that if Horizon One has come, then the second one will. I think they have to do it quite sporadically to maybe never let a sequel go to a PC or never let something big like God of War go because otherwise, they don't want to swing it the other way, where they're trying to get people to play, for example, Horizon, so that they buy a PS5 to play Horizon 2 because it's the only place to play it.
Right.
If they do it too often, then the PC community won't get got by that. They won't get a PS5 because they'll be like, well, it'll come to PC eventually. So I think they need to be quite clever and sporadic in what they choose. And I think so far they've chose really well. And I think the only other game I could see, or I thought they might do it with, was Days Gone, but maybe they're trying to keep it as sort of minimal as possible.
Yeah, Days Gone will be a great choice because it's not their one of their baby franchises. It's something that
Yeah.
they could allow to go there. I'm thinking, yeah, 2021 we see more of that. I'm hopeful because it just ends up gaining more PlayStation fans, so it
Mm.
helps them in the long run. But they're slowly getting there. So
Yeah.
we got the next big one here. Wired magazine gets first news on PS5 features and new SSD. This is in March. Wired's interview with PS5 architect Mark Cerny first revealed the use of 3D audio, ray tracing, and the ultra-fast M.2 SSD in the PlayStation 5. Yeah, this is notable because we got some actual info on the hardware on what it can do, and this is the first time they started talking about the that super fast SSD, which is what they've built this whole thing around. So that was
Mm.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we're sitting here,
Let's
not
see, we
long
got
later with it.
yeah, it's pretty dope. And then they announced ray tracing in there. I want to say at the time the Xbox revealed some stuff, they might have confirmed ray tracing as well. But this at least
Mm.
brought them both at that same level that for next gen we're getting ray tracing, which was already kind of a thing that PC users were a newer feature that PC users were used to. But
Yeah.
that was notable. It seemed like they really got used
Yeah.
to premiering stuff with wired first. I wonder why they felt so
Mm.
comfortable with wired out of all outlets.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. I think I always sort of forget what like the names of outlets and things nowadays. I mean, it used to be when you sort of get magazine subscriptions and things, you'd know all the important people, but now I just there's just so many now, and there's so many sort of are quoted and everything. But yeah, I mean, Wired was one that just kept coming up regarding the PS5. So yeah, maybe they had some connections there or something.
Right. So going through March, we got Persona 5 gets released on PS4 as Persona 5 Royal. This is Persona 5 released in Japan as Persona 5 The Royal. It's an enhanced version of the PS3 game for PS4. It released in Japan on October 31st, 2019, and worldwide on March 31st, 2020. I know you're a pretty big Persona fan, so this is a big deal that we got that version on the PS4. Did you ever finally finish it? I know you played like 300 hours or whatever. Did you finally kind of roll credits on this?
Yeah, I beat it. I platinumed it. I was really glad that I waited for Royal because I played Persona 4 Golden on Vita and was really excited for the five. And but I held out because I just basically because I knew how long it was, and eventually when it came around that I had the time to play it, that Royal was out, and it's a great game. I mean, yeah, it took me about 130 hours to beat and platinum, and there's a lot there. There's a lot of story and uh, characters and relationships, and a great gameplay system as well. It is a very special game, and yeah, it was a big highlight sort of the year for me. But yeah, it's very long, and I remember it very fondly.
Nice. Yeah, and so moving to April, we finally got visual confirmation. That's not the right thing to say. We finally got to see the DualSense controller and even hear that the title of the controller itself. So, along with announcing haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and an onboard mic, a slimmed down light bar, we got the biggest shock actually seeing the damn thing, the DualSense. If you were to flash back, to your initial feelings, it was pretty different of a change or a unique change to see this
Mm.
evolution come to from the DualShocks series now to the DualSense. I think overall you've come to love this controller instead of initial thoughts.
Yeah, I wasn't too keen when I first saw it. I wasn't too keen on pretty much everything that was shown like visually of the PlayStation 5. I wasn't too keen on. I think the DualSense grew on me quicker because we saw it for longer. But yeah, even now, like my opinion's definitely changed on both. I think the console itself looks nice now, and I think the controller's lovely. And yeah, I think any reservations I had or any sort of problems I had with the PS5 visually or any other is just sort of gone now. So it's quite funny to sort of think back and remember how I was like, oh, I'm not too sure about the white and the sort of shape of the controller, and now I'm completely on board with it.
Yeah, they definitely took a chance because they wanted something that was going to be different enough so you remember it, so it kind of stands out, and they definitely did that. I know initially I
Mm.
was kind of just very not on board. and
Yeah.
skeptical, and but you get it, and it works, and it's an awesome
Mhm.
controller. And yeah, the unique color scheme, I think it just works for separating it from all the past PlayStation consoles. Um,
Yeah.
I, I I hope though, because once this came out, then everyone did their mock-ups of like a classic gray PlayStation controller or the black. I hope we do see 2021, some announcements of like a new DualSense, just
Mm.
like a color scheme
Yeah.
change, because I would love just a different, just a change up on this.
Yeah, I'm already itching for a
So we got
special one, a
that.
special colored one.
Yeah. I guess you can take off the black part of it, the bottom, and spray paint that or color that. So that is cool, but it's just the white,
Yeah.
controller handles on it. I've already started to see a little bit of weird, like, dirt or whatever grime from my gross fingers are
Mm.
like on the backside. So if we can change it up to something
Yeah.
that is not white, I would be mad
Yeah.
at that. Yeah, so April we got Final Fantasy VII Remake finally released. I know that was what your game of year, or one of the game of the years for you.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you go back in time to that, how were you? Were you giddy? Were you excited to finally play this?
Yeah, it was a massive occasion. It was one of those games that I was excited about, but it wasn't until I had it on download where I was like really, really excited to play it. I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan. Final Fantasy VII's a weird one for me because I didn't play the original until quite recently, despite playing all the others. So I don't have that same connection to it, like nostalgic connection that other people do. I have that nostalgic connection to the series as a whole, but just not this particular one. So I was interested to see how how I would enjoy it, and it is just an absolutely incredible game. It's soundtrack is amazing. The story's really well told. It looks amazing. The combat system is fantastic. And yeah, I remember being super excited, and just I didn't stop playing it for like the 2 weeks that it came out. And yeah, if I could go back and play it again for the first time, that'd be one of those games that I would love to do that with.
Do you think in 2021 we see an update on the part two or the next part to this? Maybe a trailer or something. They might have Square Enix might have already confirmed like it's
Mm.
2022, or we're not going to talk about it for a while. But do you think we see an update next year?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really strange one, and something that I think we're going to have to start, talking about soon is what is happening with Final Fantasy VII because, as we know, 16's looking good, looking quite far along, much further along than everyone thought it would be. Um, so yeah, I don't know what they're doing with the second game. I imagine there's two studios or two teams working on it. Um, but yeah, it'd be nice to see it next year. It'd be nice to see something, but you'd imagine they've probably learned from their mistakes of showing things off too early. But then again, it is also Square Enix, so maybe not.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'd like to see something next year. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see anything for a while because that's just what they do. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it's going to go because the way it ended as well shows that it might be going in a completely different direction to how the original did, which is very interesting.
Mm. Now in April we also got another remake. This is Resident Evil 3 remake from Capcom. We talked about this before, but I really dug it. I think we both really dug it.
Mm.
There was some controversy with the length of the game, but I think overall for me, I had a blast playing this game.
Yeah, it was a great fun. Definitely scratched an itch. And yeah, it was short but fun to play through multiple times, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with it.
Yes. Same here. So we got some PS5 news. PS5 event finally shows console and new game announcements. This is in June during a special reveal event live stream, which was postponed a week due to the global Black Lives Matter events protesting police brutality. Sony finally showed off the PS5 console, next gen gameplay, as well as new game announcements. We also received many state of play live streaming events this year from PlayStation and Xbox/Nintendo in general due to COVID-19 pandemic, putting the brakes on trade show events like E3 PAX and Gamescom. So yeah, we finally got to see this console, and it wasn't at an event. It was or like a live or a in-person
Hmm.
thing. It wasn't at a trade show. It was just a live stream. It was very much 2020 was all that this year, but we finally
Mhm.
got to see the console. We talked a little bit already, but it was definitely a unique look to it. But
Mm.
you've come around to
Yeah.
it. You now don't hate this thing.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, the event itself was very exciting. I remember being, just over the moon with it, and I don't know if it's the same one or one before where they revealed Final Fantasy 16, and that got me excited as well. So it was a very fun time, and yeah, I wasn't too sure on the look. I think it's just very dramatic, and it was just hard to. So it was kind of like a jump scare, like just of how like strange it was. But yeah, I've come to like it. I do definitely prefer. I might be biased, but I do definitely prefer the digital edition. My little brother's got the disc one, and it just looks very just odd shapes. Like the digital one's very like streamlined and sort of symmetrical, which I like, and the disc one just sort of breaks that. But I think overall it looks nice, and the build quality is great, and they're imposing machines to own. They feel next gen.
Right.
It's a proper good bit of kit. Yeah, it's definitely grown on me more.
Yeah, it's very much like Alienware helped them design this thing. I'm surprised there's not
Mm,
more RGB stuff going on, but yeah, it's very much like a weird looking PC. But yeah,
yeah.
no, same where we were in shock, because it was such a different design, but it's grown on me. I mean, I can still say definitely it's ugly, but I love it. Like it's still
Mm,
this ugly, beautiful thing, and
yeah.
it doesn't fit anywhere. And it seems like they just wanted it to kind of give off that vibe where it's like you make this work around your
Yeah.
world. Like this is not gonna
Yeah.
just politely go into your house somewhere. It's like you have to build your house around this thing. But that's what
Yeah.
they wanted to convey with this. But yeah, no, and that live stream was cool. We got some God of War. We got a tease for the second one. We'll talk about that as well as we look forward to 2021. But yeah, it was unique seeing this as just a live stream, and that's how this went this entire year with a lot of things announced through a live stream. As we go forward too, that's what makes me wonder about 2021 and really the future with announcing this kind of stuff. We don't have to wait for events; they can just kind of pop in and announce stuff. But now they're not having to wait or build stuff around an E3 or a Gamescom. It's just whenever we want to announce stuff, we can. So this is kind of a next shift into these outlets or these companies controlling when they want to talk about
Mm.
what they want to show.
Yeah, I think we were starting to see it even pre-COVID. I mean, things like YouTube and Twitter and social media have just as many eyes on them now. We saw like Rockstar, they announced Red Dead 2 through a social media post,
It's
I
true.
believe. And I think, it started that kind of thing, started gaining traction. And I think even before COVID, E3 was already, dying with Sony pulling out and, um, like I said, a lot of companies just revealing their own things. So I think COVID's kind of accelerated that transition into, just digital things from, uh, that are just shown on people's computers rather than having to go somewhere physical and spending all this money. Um, so yeah, I think it's just accelerated a lot of things in that aspect, and we will probably see a lot more of it.
Yeah, I think so. And Nintendo's been doing that for a while with their
Mm.
updates digitally. So yeah, and then also in June we got the Last of Us Part Two finally released, and that was a long time coming. Initially scheduled for February 21st release, the game was delayed to May 29th for final polish, and due to production issues caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, pushed to eventual release on June 19th. This one was in real time. It was kind of a roller coaster because we're getting close to that date. They pushed it a little bit further for polish. That was before the last delay, and it's like okay. And then we were caught in limbo where we didn't know when this thing was going to release because they had the production issues with the disc, and for a while we just didn't know when this thing would come out, and it was a shaky time.
Yeah, it was a unforgettable experience. I think before it came out, when it came out, of course, and after it came out. I mean, I think we're
Yep.
still seeing the effects of it. It was a big I suppose moment for everyone that played it. It was like you said, a roller coaster, and not just in the actual game itself, but just surrounding it. And yeah, I think 2020 sort of will be remembered for many years to come, for obvious reasons. But I think Last of Us 2 will also be, remembered very vividly by a lot of people.
Yeah, it was strange in that limbo time where we didn't know when this thing would come out, and we saw it recently with Cyberpunk, but PlayStation removed the game itself from the PlayStation Store, and it was just kind of this strange move because you
Mm,
think, okay, it's just going to be delayed, just hold on to those pre-orders, but they were allowing people to just get refunds and remove this thing from being purchased or pre-ordered,
mm,
and it was very strange, and it made it seem
mm.
like this thing was not obtainable at that time because there wasn't, you couldn't even like look at it on the PlayStation Store. It was just very
Yeah,
weird, but
yeah,
we
yeah,
eventually got through it, and yeah, we talked about it before,
yeah.
but I loved Last of Us 2,
Mm,
and I love the chances they took, even though I didn't at the time, like getting through it. It was a really just a successful payoff for all the stuff they
yeah,
decided to change, and
yeah.
yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, Final Fantasy was my game of the year, but Last of Us 2 is it's a proper work of art, like in terms of how a game can be. I don't think it's fair to. I know it gets compared a lot to movies and things, but I just don't think they're really comparable in that way. But as a game, Last of Us 2 was, yeah, it was a massive like experience. It sort of put you through so many different things, and with the hype attached to it as well. I think it was a very memorable experience from start to finish, and whether or not you like the creative choices they made or whatever, I think that no one can deny that it is a special game, and yeah, I think it'll be remembered for a long, long time.
Yep, I agree. We got moving on to July. We had Marvel's Iron Man VR released there. This is not a game I got to play because I don't have a PSVR, but it was a pretty big deal to see them finally, succeed in this release in this game. And it seems like
Mm.
overall people dug it. It wasn't blowing anyone's hair back, but it was a fine entry. But it was
Mm.
just a notable PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's always sort of interesting to see big properties like Marvel enter the space. And yeah, I think this is one of those games where a lot of people probably have always been saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if there was a VR game where you got to play as Iron Man?" So I think it's quite a nice
Right.
little fantasy project fulfilled as well. So yeah, I never got a chance to play it, but yeah, it's a nice little game to have in the game sphere of Marvel games.
Yep. Yeah, and it seems like PlayStation has a pretty comfy relationship with Marvel, with Disney, because at least they have these two exclusives here. I want to say,
Mm,
man, I need to look it up, but I imagine that Iron Man came to other VR units, but maybe not. But at least with the console
mm,
space, it seems like Marvel has a really good relationship with Sony. With you have Spider-Man releasing there only on console. There is that Marvel's Avengers game that was multi-platform, but other than that, it seems like they
mm.
have a pretty good relationship. I wonder if we'll see more exclusives just going to Sony in the future.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that I think Sony own Spider-Man as well. So I
Right.
think it's important for them that Spider-Man succeeds, and I think because it has succeeded, on PlayStation with the new Spider-Man games. I think that Marvel and Disney will notice that, and maybe that's why they got Iron Man, at least timed exclusivity, because it is. If you're a company like Disney, it's obvious who to support, in the console space. I think when it comes to sort of exclusive content.
Yes. So we got that was in July. Also, pretty not a stacked July, but there was a huge exclusive in July. We had Ghost of Tsushima finally released in July. We've talked about this before, but we both really loved it. I think it was great to separate as much as you could from Last of Us Two. I think maybe they could have even held on to this longer and kind of really separated from Last of Us Two. But I'm glad we got it this year.
Mm.
Yeah, some final thoughts on Tsushima.
Yeah, it's fantastic game. It reminds me a lot or it has a lot of similarities to Valhalla as well, which I'm playing at the moment. In how they're starting to realize that open worlds need to be more explorable and less. They need to sort of let go of the whole. sometimes the player doesn't see everything you put in. And that's something Ghost of Tsushima did well. You know, there were lots of things that you might not see in your playthrough, even if you platinum it, um, because they didn't want to make it too, full of stuff on the map and just, trying to berate you with things to do. And Valhalla seems to have, been heavily inspired by that, because Odyssey was the complete definition of that issue in an open world game, and whereas now Valhalla is a lot more like Ghost of Tsushima in how it sort of just has certain things that it wants you to explore, and there's still lots and lots of things that you can find just on your own, which I think is an important sort of way to explore sort of open worlds. So yeah, Tsushima was great, and yeah, I think it's inspired some of these other open world games as well. And I think we're already seeing the results of that.
I agree. Yeah, I loved Tsushima. I loved how they handled just some of the tropes with guiding you through an RPG. You know, with the wind, I loved that, and
Mm,
they really nailed it. And I'm incredibly excited to see what they do with the sequel because I think they're just gonna knock it out of the park. Um,
yeah.
so moving on to August, we got Fall Guys. PlayStation secured an assumingly limited console exclusive launch with developer Mediatonic for Fall Guys to launch free on the PlayStation Plus or on PlayStation Plus for the month of August. Viewers on Twitch watched more than 100 million hours of Fall Guys content just through August alone. Fall Guys was a pretty big hit, and so I guess it's on the PlayStation radar because it was there first for console, and I think right now it's only there besides PC. I don't know for how long, but it just really took over the mind share, the just the internet in general
Mm.
when it launched, and yeah, it's cool to see them keep supporting it, and it's still a juggernaut of a game.
Yeah, I never got to play it, but it took the world by storm, and yeah, like you said, it seems to still be bobbing along and getting lots of support.
Yes, I wonder how long that deal will go through, because it's published by not Digital Foundry. It's published by Devolver Digital. They made some
Mm.
kind of deal, to get it there on console, but it's really it's going to benefit that game when it's able to go to Switch and other platforms because it's so huge that it's almost being bottlenecked. But it's a great get for PlayStation to have it only there on console.
Yeah.
So we got that was in August, and then November we got the Big Daddy PS5 actually launched. So after an insane amount of hype through 2020, and with Sony leaving fans with an information drought along the way, the PS5 finally launched in November. Pre-order snafus, shortages, and a few launch issues or system issues didn't stop PlayStation from keeping the throne of the most desired video game console. Yeah, back in November we finally got there. We got the console in our hands. It took you a little while. You finally got it, but
Yeah.
it's been a wonderful time, a lot of ups and downs, but we finally got this console.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot, like you said earlier. It was, it was a year of speculation, and it all just went so quick. I mean, mostly because of what was going on around us, but also
Yeah,
because they didn't tell us anything until the very last moment. So it's
yep,
all been just bizarre and mental and surreal in a sort of weird way, getting the PS5. And but yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a great time to play games. It's hugely accessible and fun to play, and it really seems to be changing. You know. For the better, how sort of consoles can be played.
yeah. No, I agree, and it's still hard to get a hold of this console because we're really just a
Yeah,
month away from the launch itself. But yeah, it's still not easy to get your hands on these things, and maybe hopefully
no,
2021 they're able to ramp up production or just get more of these out to people. But it's still not easy.
yeah. No, yeah, it's been a bit mad, and I did get caught up in it a little bit. But yeah, I eventually got one. But yeah, I know there's lots of people that didn't, and I could have easily been one of them as well. And it's frustrating, but hopefully, people are starting to get them, and more will be. 'Cause and they're very affordable as well. I know nothing's really affordable at the moment, but in terms of what you're getting, and even compared to games consoles over the years,
Right.
they're very very cheap. And I got the cheaper digital version, and it's just blowing me away with how powerful it is, and how good games are looking, and how it runs. And I'm someone who's played on PC a lot, and for it to impress me to a level that my PC does it for that price. It's very, very, very good.
Yeah, they really nailed the price. That was a big deal as we were speculating and had no information throughout the year. There was a there's really their ball to drop. It's like how are they going to announce or how they're going to release this thing? Is there going to be any kind of weird features that are just not consumer friendly? There's that aspect. There's also the price, and I think they nailed this launch
Mm,
with everything in there. I mean, it was they're obviously the ahead of the game with the PS4 as far as like compared to the Xbox. They've kind of owned this last generation, so it was up to them
mm,
to make a mistake. And I think they nailed the launch. They really nailed the price and had enough features in there that made it feel next gen. And yeah, I was, but there was a time where we just weren't sure what was going to happen. And were they going to go
yeah,
back on those PS3 days where they just were full of themselves and thought, hey, whatever we launch with, people are going to buy it. But I think they
yeah,
are really listening to feedback, and there's still some features that I would like turned around, like say the SSD. We still have no info on like a replacement one that you can throw in there. They haven't added a supported SSD that they will put their marker on.
mm,
You can't
mm,
offload games onto your external hard drive. There's a lot of little features that I want to see
yeah,
turned around, but I think overall
yeah.
they nailed it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some, cleanup and some, certain UI changes and additions. And the PS4 was the same. There was lots of different tweaks and things they added to the UI. I'm sure that will happen in PS5, and hardware support will just, there's now a demand for it, so that that will go up and boom as well. Um, but yeah, I think it's nice to have these things finally, and yeah, I think we sort of expected them not to mess up, but to go from the PS3 where they were massively overconfident uh, to then sort of turn it around and do well with the PS4. Everyone sort of didn't think they had learned from their mistakes with the PS3, and I think they've proved a lot of people wrong with this. I think they, like you said, they've handled it excellently, and in terms of how console launches goes, this is a very, very smooth one, and the launch lineup is incredibly impressive.
Yeah,
I'm yet, I still have lots of games that like Demon Souls and that I still haven't even touched yet, and Sackboy, the Sackboy game. Um, so yeah, it's a great launch, and I think yeah, they proved a lot of people wrong, me
yep,
included.
yeah. No, same. It was very touch and go there.
Yeah.
Um, so still in November, we got you mentioned some of that the awesome lineup. We got Demon Souls remake came out, Spider-Man Miles Morales and the remaster also came out, and those were huge. I think just for Spider-Man alone, I was already on board, but you have the ability to play Valhalla on there, and then that Demon Souls remake. That is on my list, and I just keep. One of these days, I'm going to buy it, and I just know that I'm
Mm.
going to be terrible at it, but I got to play that game. It just looks so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's next for me after Valhalla, maybe. Um, it's definitely on my radar. It looked great, and I'm really interested to see how it feels as a Blue Point game as well. And yeah, it's just an excuse. It's a next gen game, next gen graphics, and it's just an excuse to look at
Yeah. So now, moving out of November, we got this one was pretty big, and it was kind of under the radar, but it's a pretty big deal with PlayStation. So after 23 years, PlayStation exclusive MLB The Show goes multi-platform. Sony announced a new multi-year agreement with the MLB to continue its licensing deals for the MLB The Show games, but also revealed that the franchise will be ending its PlayStation exclusivity and become a multi-platform series starting as early as 2021. This reminds me of our talk about them venturing and allowing some of their properties to be on PC. It seems like I don't know if they had to make this deal with MLB, like if when they were restructuring, if the MLB was saying, "Hey, we want this multi-platform," I think maybe this
it.
is Sony's willingness, if that's a word, of their,
Mm,
their ability to allow this thing to be on other platforms. It
yeah,
seems like we're
yeah,
getting hints that Sony's changing or
yeah.
looking towards a different future.
But that's the thing. They have such a vast catalog of games that they can afford to do this. They can afford to branch out, make a bit more money, and get a bit more attraction on their brand as well. Because it's made at Sony San Diego, isn't it?
I want to say
MLB
you're
The
right. Yeah.
Show. So it's going to have the PlayStation Studios logo on it, even if you're playing it on an Xbox. So yeah, I think it's a great franchise to use to just get PlayStation out there on people's screens and yeah, get a bit of extra money as well.
I agree. Yeah, it's a
They've
pretty
got
big deal
they've got
after
to fund
23
that
years.
new Uncharted game somehow. So
Yeah. And really ending December, which I don't have on here, I guess pretty big PlayStation news was the fact that, Cyberpunk, how they totally, butchered that launch and they offered refunds and they don't do that.
mhm.
Eventually Xbox followed suit. And it was a great way to end 2020, just being 2020, to have that launch be so horrific. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So as we end this year, looking towards next year, 2021 with PlayStation, we have some confirmed dates for games. Some of them just have the 2021 marker on them, but we can go kind of one by one and look towards the future here. So we have one of the first ones confirmed, Hitman 3 hits PS5 January 20th. We've seen some footage of it. I know they're doing a PSVR version of Hitman, but I'm pretty excited for this, seeing it on next gen. I imagine this is multi-platform still, but seeing the next gen version of Hitman 3, it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I need to play the first two. I love the old Hitman games, and that's a series that I really don't want to let sort of slip by because they look great. And I think I've got the first two games on PC maybe, but I think that one of them's on PlayStation Now as well. So there's no excuse really. I need to get through those.
Yeah, same. Now we have Control Ultimate Edition on PS5 and on February 20th. I guess the disc version, this is digital. The disc version is releasing the next month. This one's notable just because they had some drama with how they announced the next gen version. So if you bought the Ultimate Edition, you get that PS5 version for free, or next gen version for free. But if everyone who bought
Hmm.
that launch game do not get that upgrade, which is a bummer because I bought this game like 3 different times. But that
Yeah.
will be on PS5. I am excited to see at least how it looks, with all the ray tracing and stuff. Will it be better than, the PC version? I'm not sure, but that is coming down the line. Do you think you'll pick this
Well,
up on PS5, or are you still protesting?
I mean, I haven't picked it up yet, so it'd be a good time to. I think it better be top banana if they're charging extra.
Right.
Like you said, you'd hope it's really competes with PC versions if you're having to buy it again. But yeah, it looks good. I like Remedy. I think Remedy are a really interesting studio. They make really sort of interesting games, and Control looks very cool. And I think I will end up playing it at some point.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. Control is my game of the year last year. I just really, really love that game. And yeah, hopefully this is a great way to show off, ray tracing and just next gen stuff, because it's a beautiful game, especially on
Hmm.
PC. So if they can show this thing off, and I think the Ultimate Edition has all the DLC that they've released throughout the year on this title, so should be cool. It's just it sucks that to have to buy it again, but
Yeah,
yeah, that is how it is. So we
yeah.
got Destruction All Stars is coming out in February 2021. This one was notable because it was going to be a game that was, just separate where you have to purchase it, but it looks like it's going to be a free PlayStation Plus game, which I think was a good choice because it's a new
Yeah.
property and we still don't. I don't know if we've actually seen a lot of footage on it yet, so I think it's good to have it free with PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I think that that's a good game to. It's the same like Rocket League. I mean, Rocket League didn't pick up until it was free on Plus, so this could.
Right.
I'm not saying it would be the same, but it's a good way to get it in people's hands. I probably wouldn't have thought about getting it, so but now it's free. There's no reason for me not to try it. So, yeah, it's a good idea.
Good move. This reminds me a little bit of it was just an article that PushSquare.com did. They were talking about Returnal, which was House Marquee's game. Um, they were saying that maybe they're sending it out to die by having it being a fully priced title, the $70 whatever
Mm,
in the US for next gen. That maybe it should be something not PlayStation Plus like this situation, but a cheaper version. And they're wondering if that same price tag for all these next gen games works for a game like Returnal. But yeah, I just found it interesting. I don't know if I agree, but it's
mm.
I wonder
No,
if they're
yeah.
gonna shoot themselves in the foot by offering that high of a price.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree, I suppose, because I think Housemarque are a studio. Not they're not the biggest studio, and I think that Returnal looks very high budget for them, and I think that If you when you play their catalog of games, you realize that they are very, very talented, and they've made a lot of games as well. They're very experienced, so there's no reason for them not to charge full price for Returnal, I don't think. And it's like Days Gone. I mean, no one would argue. I know that's an open world game, but no one would argue the full price of that. And Sony
Right.
Ben's game before that was an Uncharted game on Vita, so yeah, I think it's completely fair to charge full price, but you'll have the people who maybe haven't heard of Housemarque before or aren't into those kind of games who disagree.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they, how it's received, and that's pretty soon. So that's in March, March 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the games that don't have an exact date for 2021, Ghostwire Tokyo from Tango GameWorks, that is still 2021, and that's that game set in Tokyo with the weird, supernatural stuff going on. It's from the Evil
Mm-hmm.
Within devs. I'm pretty stoked for this game. I just don't,
Yeah,
I don't know if we're going to see it. Do you think we'll see it this year?
I don't know because it lost its creative director, didn't it? So I don't know how that
I
sort
want to
of
say, yeah, they did. I forget her name, but
affected it at all, or whether it sort of delayed any sort of development progress or anything. But yeah, it sounds interesting, and I've never got into Evil Within, but I know that there's some sort of interesting Japanese developers who, they're the kind of games that I enjoy.
yeah, and I think you're right where they lost the creative director. I don't know if we see it 2021 release, but maybe at the best case scenario end of 2021. But I think you could possibly push this to next year after that. But so that is
Mm,
a Tango is still owned by Bethesda, and I want to say that was part of that deal where the games that were previously announced for PS5 that were Bethesda are still there. So I think this will still be cross-platform, but after that, I'm not sure.
yeah,
If they switch back to
yeah,
their deal, everything's launching on Xbox only or Xbox first.
yeah.
So now this was teased at that PlayStation 5 reveal, God of War Ragnarok. It still says 2021. We've talked about it before, but do you have high hopes that we're going to have this game launch in 2021?
Absolutely no way. I just can't see it at all. But yeah, it's strange to even because it's the middle of everything as well. It's not like they didn't know what was going to happen with COVID because it was already happening, and
Right.
so yeah, it's a bold move and one that is easy to sort of put off and not believe. But who knows? It'd be nice if it came out this year, but I hope for at least more coverage of it and maybe some gameplay or something to sort of whet the appetite.
I think we see a state of play showing off, a snippet of gameplay like we did with the original or the last God of War, showing off how amazing it looks. But I think we do see them push it to 2022. I think it'd be good
Mm,
to show off the game. Here's what it's looking like, but then give us that 2022,
yeah,
hard news at the end. Because I also don't want them to take the time, or I want them to take time with this. I don't see the rush, and maybe 2021 isn't that stacked for exclusives, but this is such a special game, and I imagine they realize that where just give it the time it needs. It just seems too soon of a turnaround to get this thing out. But there has been no message from Sony saying we're going to push this. So it seems like
mm,
2021. Although we talked about Game Awards, that was a huge event to hype up 2021. No mention there. I guess they have their own state of
no,
play, showing it off more. It's very strange, but I kind of
yeah,
hope I would love to play this game now, but I hope that they push it because I think they could use the time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's like a strange sort of conspiracy theory that sort of I think about where um, because of the PS5 sort of all modern and high tech that it's easier to make games on it. So hopefully that sort of comes into play as well. I mean, the fact that they have a lot more sort of freedom and they don't have to worry too much about they don't have to worry too much about the restrictions and things. That hopefully that could speed things along. And I mean, the game already looks amazing on PS4, so maybe they've got that sort of development cycle really nailed down, and that they've been able to. But it would be pretty incredible for it to come this year, or well, pretty much this year now. Um, but yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be a very quick turnaround. That means that like after the last God of War launched, they had the weekend and then they went right back to work on
Yeah,
this sequel.
yeah,
And so I want to say
yeah.
they've confirmed that this is going to be cross or PS4, PS5 release. I could be
Mm,
wrong, but if that's the case, then they still have the slower time for the PS4 that they have to develop with. They have to kind of make two different
mhm,
versions of the game. Yeah, it's just still there's a lot of questions with this, but if they can nail it, kudos.
yeah,
But I say take the time for sure.
mhm, yeah.
So we got Gran Turismo 7 that is still scheduled for 2021. It was in the news. So there was a French PlayStation in France put out a YouTube video promoting Gran Turismo 7, and there was a little tiny watermark saying release scheduled for first half of 2021. So it's possible we get this early 2021. Do you think
Mm.
we actually get this game this year?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Polyphony are pretty good at getting their games out when they do. It's quite rare that a Gran Turismo game uh, comes now, but yeah, I think it'll come, and I think it looks great, and I'm really excited to see how it works with the dual sense as well. I think that there's a lot of possibility there, and you wonder whether this could be in line with some sort of VR announcement. Because I know that Gran Turismo is very, very popular in the VR community
Mm.
on PS4, so it'd be nice if they could, you know, address that community as well, and maybe use it to sort of talk about VR for PS5.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this title. I mean, I'm not the best or the biggest fan of like these driving sims, but I'm excited to see how it looks. So playing through Cyberpunk, there's ray tracing on the vehicles and the like with reflections rather, and it just looks really
Hmm.
beautiful. And I want to see that as the future. I want to say the newest Dirt had ray tracing in there. So as we go forward, I think this is a great way to show off the ray tracing tech that PS5 can
Hmm.
do with all the crazy
Hmm.
reflections, and you have just like high
Yeah,
resolution models. This is a great way to show off this next this console. So I'm just
yeah,
excited to see how it looks. But yeah, I think they can nail 2021. I imagine they've been
yeah,
working on this for a
yeah,
while, and they have the entire year to move it around as they need to. So yeah, I think
yeah.
we'll see it this year.
Yeah, and
Uh,
then they always look amazing. I mean, even Gran
right,
Turismo Sport looks photorealistic now, so I can't imagine how good it will look on PS5.
I agree. So we got this was announced for 2021, Hogwarts Legacy. It's going to be a huge game because it's a huge property, and the current slate that they're announcing is 2021. So do you think we see it this year? They showed off some gameplay already.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably expect to see a little bit more first, because I think the first trailer we got was very, you know, revealy. It was, you know, it seemed like a reveal trailer. But yeah, it looks cool, and I like that sort of world. Not maybe as much as I would like to, but I think it'd make a good setting for a game, and it seems cool.
Yep. I agree. So we got now this one I'm not sure either, but Horizon Forbidden West PS5 in 2021. This is one for sure they announced it's going to come to PS4 as well.
Hmm.
Uh, I imagine they've had a lot of time over at Gorilla to work on the sequel because really they haven't put out anything else since the last Horizon, and they gave
Hmm.
Kojima their engine in the meantime. But like I think they've just been hard at work at this. So do you think we're seeing this for sure 2021?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Again, I think Gorilla, a great studio. I think that you know you'd have every reason to believe that they've got you know this sorted, and yeah, I'm really really excited for Horizon. It's a game that I sort of didn't realize how long ago it was that I played. And my little brother had started playing it, and I literally can't remember anything about it. So you know, I might have to do it, given at the playthrough, or watch a YouTube video on it when the second game comes out. But yeah, really really excited to sort of go back to that character and that sort of world. And yeah, I'd imagine it will should hit this year.
Yeah, so that was back in 2017 that the game came out, and there was that DLC that they released in the meantime. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think they're still splitting off and working on that sequel. This is a game
yeah,
where I think obviously it has to come to PS4 because there's still however many millions of PS4s out there. But I would like to see this engine to just fully unlocked on the PS5, and maybe they
mm,
can do that with the PS5 version. But the reality is it's still kind of limited, making sure that it works on
mm,
PS4. But this is a game where I guess we'll have to wait till the next Horizon will be fully
Yeah.
PS5, and I would love to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I think I shared similar sort of worries, but I think after playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is also on PS4 on multi-platform, um, it looks incredible. I think that maybe developers aren't struggling as much as we maybe think with scaling these things back. Um, so yeah, hopefully it's going to look amazing regardless of what platform it's available on. But the main thing is making sure it runs okay on PS4 because we don't want to have another Cyberpunk
Yeah,
on our hands.
right. Yeah, nobody wants that. So we got Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for 2021. We've seen a lot of gameplay on this. I'm surprised we didn't get it this
Mm.
year, but you'd have to imagine early next year. But I think for sure we're going to get Ratchet and Clank 2021.
Yeah, I'm hoping for like a February release. I think that suits it. I'm so excited. It's probably my most anticipated game at the moment on PS5. I love Ratchet and Clank, and I'm just so happy that they're stuck to it. It's still Insomniac as well. It's a very that's one of their first big series, and they're still sticking
Right?
at it, and they obviously love it, and yeah, I can't wait to play a second one. It looks great, and lots of ray tracing and dual sense stuff to get excited over.
Yeah, it became a title that really pushes the tech now. Like you saw that with the PS4 version, 2 years ago, last year, where
Mm,
it's just an incredibly beautiful game, and we're going to see that in the next one, where it's up there with the FIFA and GT or
mm,
GT7, where it's like it's showing off what the PS5 can do. It's kind of cool to see it come around
yeah,
to and be in that conversation. But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I love that last game. It was really cool. It kind of surprised me how fun the platforming was and how funny it
Mm.
was, and so I can't wait for this new one.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
So to end out to what we have planned for 2021, this is cross-platform, but still a big one. Resident Evil Village is slated for 2021. Do you think we see it this year or next year?
Yeah, I think we do. I think it looks pretty solid from what I've seen. It looks like it's coming together really nicely. It looks scary and it looks fun. It looks stupid in all the right places, and
Yeah,
yeah, I really can't wait.
they got to put that on the box. Scary, fun, and stupid, and that's all I need to hear. And yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I like them. We talked about before, but I like how they're going back and forth, remake, new game, or really we got two remakes in between,
Mm,
and then the new entry. It just keeps that franchise going, keeps the hype up and people interested in that title. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's too early to tease Resident Evil 4 remake in 2021, but I would love to see some kind of hints at that in Resident Evil Village if they kind of just leave some breadcrumbs and then we
mm,
get to get some more information on it. But for me, it's a race
yeah.
to that RE4 remake. But yeah, I cannot wait for Resident Evil Village. I loved the last one. I didn't play in VR, but I'm really stoked to play this next entry.
Yeah, it does look really cool, and it reminds me of Resident Evil 4 as well. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see when that unfolds as well, because that's obviously on the horizon,
Hmm.
probably quite far off, but it's still an exciting prospect.
Yes. As far as 2021 with PlayStation, that's all I could find, confirmed, or at least, they're shooting for 2021 with a lot of these games. But as far as what they have to offer next year, do you think that's quite a bit to, if they can actually fit in there, if that's enough padding to have a successful 2021?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's probably things that we don't know about that will come out as well. Massive things that maybe we would never think of or anything. So yeah, it's going to be a great year. I think the years are just getting better for games. I mean, talking about this year with Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2, Final Fantasy 7, Persona 5 Royal, now Assassin's Creed and Demon Souls. That there's just no shortage of brilliant game after brilliant game. So I think next year is just going to continue in the same vein.
Yeah, they still have, I think, in their back pocket the ability to tease that Uncharted game that's been rumored for a while. So I wonder if we
Mm,
see that tease this year. I'm trying to think of the other studios that we haven't seen much from in a while that they could possibly tease this year. But for me, the big one that stands out is what's going on with that Uncharted series.
mm. Yeah, and Bioshock, I'd be interested to see if anything, because that's been talked about so just for
Right.
so long now that you'd like to think sort of maybe next year we'll hear something about that.
Yep, that's one I'm very excited for. I was hoping we get something at the Game Awards. We didn't. And then really with Naughty Dog, 2021, they got to kind of give us information on the remaster or next gen version of Last of Us 2. You have to imagine they're working on it. Do you think that's
Mm,
something that we'll see in 2021, or do you think they'll push it? I feel like the last remaster was pretty soon after the PS4 launched.
mm. Yeah, I think it won't be any later in 2021, and you'd hope that the multiplayer component should be coming next year as well. So yeah, so I don't think we've seen the Last of Us, but yeah, I'm sure that will spread into 2021 as well.
I imagine they will couple that multiplayer with the remaster to also make it worthwhile to get people to buy it
Mm,
again if they already have it
yeah,
on PS4. But um,
yeah.
yeah, other than that, I mean, you have Days Gone developers as a Sony Bend.
Hmm.
I wonder if it's way too early to tease their next thing. You have Kojima working on
Hmm.
something else, and maybe that goes
Hmm.
cross-platform, but not just to PlayStation. But
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what because now this 2021 is the time to tease what's coming up. So I think we get a lot
yeah.
of reveals and announcements.
Yeah, and interesting about Days Gone. I think that's a game that I'm gonna start again very soon.
Mm,
So I think I got about 40 hours in, um, and I tried going back to it the other day just to see the 4K 60 FPS, and I cannot remember anything about that game, and I'm very, very close to the end. So, yeah, it's like post game enemies and all this stuff. So I think I'm gonna have to start it again, unfortunately. But it's a good excuse to go back to it. It's had a very, very acclaimed and positively received update for PS5, which sees it at, constant 60 FPS at 4K and updated textures, and because the way the game ran was a big issue for me. I mean, with the cap being 30 FPS and getting really bad drops as well, to play it at double that constantly, it's going to be a completely different experience. And there's so much in that game that's so great as well. And I think it'll just be easier to sort of access when the game performs, much better. So, yeah, I'm hoping to start that again soon.
now, a big reveal people are waiting for is do you think we see Knack 3 announced this year? It's on everyone's mind. We're waiting for it.
Yeah, I've never even touched that either of them. And
My
I
wife
do
loved it.
kind
I think the first one and the second, possibly the second one, but she got pretty deep into the Knack
I do
one,
kind of
the
want to
first
play
one.
them. I do
Yeah,
kind
they're
of
not
want to
bad.
play them just to see, but I've also been considering going back to Crash Bandicoot as well because I really want to play the
Mm,
fourth one, but I should do the Insane Trilogy first. But I just can't because they're so hard and I'm
yeah,
rubbish at
yeah.
them, and but yeah, so but maybe I'll pluck up the courage to go for it, but Knack is definitely a contender.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we see Knack 3. So what? That came out Knack 2 came out in 2017. So I'm not sure. It's not like a well-known or a like a mascot for
Don't
PlayStation, but I feel like it's
No.
not going to get forgotten about. So I don't know if we
I
see
just
it.
don't think I just don't think people like it. I just don't
Mm,
think. But it's got to the point where it is kind of a meme because of how much people don't like it.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know who makes Knack. I don't know what they're
So it's
doing.
I
What
have it pulled
they're
up. It's SIE Japan Studio, and Mark Cerny's been the director on each of them. So it might be like, hey, I'll
Well,
work
that
on the
explains a
PS5, but
lot.
I got to see a new Knack. Like you might have a deal with them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
that's
so it's not the best PlayStation game out.
yeah, you could say that. Uh, so that's looking at 2021. I'm pretty excited to see what comes out, and it's
Mm,
just awesome now we have the PS5 in our hands, and now it's just the time to tease what's next, and
yeah,
I'm excited. I think we'll get more stream state of plays. That's where they're going to focus on showing the stuff off, and they like to be sneaky where it's like on a Tuesday randomly they'll just kind of show something off or say like next week or this week we're gonna have this
yeah.
stream promoting something. So it's any day now. I think we will see early January or mid January, maybe February, we'll see them have a state of play showing off 2021. I think we'll get that early next year.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It's like you said, it's nearly the end of the year, and we want things to be excited for now. So show us everything that's coming, and then leave us alone.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, Callum. Yeah, we'll end it for this week. Where can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Bear Monroe. I've just written a retrospective on the development of Dragon Age Origins for Techstomper. It's just a little article about the history of the making of Dragon Age Origins, and it's quite an interesting sort of story about how it sort of was developed and things. So if you're interested in that, it's might be worth a read. But yeah, Twitter at Ben Monroe is where you can find me.
Nice. And you can keep up with the show as well on Twitter at PlasticArtPod. That's it for us this week. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.
See you later.
You're too late. I've already summoned Meteor.
Okay, let's go.